Hi there, it's Maria from the Tarot Shop here, and this is books. I wanted to talk to you about books. Now, I get asked all the time, actually, which books would I recommend. So I actually started myself with this book. It's a complete, well, I didn't. I started with the Arthurian Tarot, but I don't have that book anymore because that's the deck I had, and that's the book that was with the deck. So that was the first. But then this is a complete guide to the Tarot by Eden Gray. Now, it's donkey's old, but you can still get it. So it was 1970, 72. And it is a really, really, really good, it tells you almost a little bit about where tarot came from. So you've got like the history of tarot. I'll just take you through it. And then you've got like the major arcana. And what I like is the fact that actually it almost feels as if you're getting a glimpse back to when tarot really became mainstream. And so therefore the language is slightly different. I just like the authenticity of it. Then you've got each of the suits. And at the very end of it, Eden talks about the Celtic cross. And this is actually the original. So I've changed this slightly, as you know, if you watch my channel. And then you've also got horoscope. And then she talks about correspondences. So it's a really, really good little book. If you can get your hands on one. It's called The Complete Guide to the Tarot by Eden Gray. So that's an old one. Now, new ones wise, we've got the Little Book of Tarot here by Xanna Chown. Now, I sell this one as part of a complete guide, and I really like it. It's got inside here a little bit of history. A little bit of history is always good. And then you've got Tarot for Divination, so it explains a little bit about tarot, the cards, so the deck and how you split it down, the major arcana, and each of them you have the card, upright and reverse. So it's really, really simple to quickly flick through. So you've got the cards and then the minor cards. She talks also about the Fool's Journey, which is interesting. How you read numerically. There we go. And she does it where you go all of the threes, all of the fours. And that's actually a really handy way to learn as well, because you realise that they all have the same energy, all of the threes, etc. And then you've got how to shuffle the decks, a little bit about it. Then you've got the pages, so you've got the courts, using them, how to choose a deck, etc. Some spreads, and then interpreting the cards. So quite a lot that's packed into a little book here. And it's, if you like the look of it, I would recommend it. It's a really good little book. Now, this is The Fool's Guide to Tarot by Mystic Rainn. Now, she's got a really direct style, and I liked that when I read it myself. So I saw that it was high up the charts, and I thought I'll give it a look and see what we think. So she talks to the Fool. She's got a really authentic voice, and you can hear it right the way through. So that aside, she's got quite a bit of humour with her as well. So how to use the deck, study tips, and you've got numerology. Oh, it's numerology, not numerical, isn't it? Astrology, associations, so the correspondences. How to do a reading. So then you go into the majors, and that's how she covers it there. So you've got like the astrological associations, keywords. We love keywords. That's how I teach. Understanding, and then the card meaning. So you've got that for each, some study tips, some affirmations, journal prompts. So I really liked this book. I was very impressed with it right the way through. And the minors, she does the same. So each card has its own space within it. And then what have you got there? The royal family is only I call them that. So you've got all of that. And then at the end of it, what do we have? So each of the cards are covered. That's it. Okay, so that's The Fool's Guide to Tarot by Mystic Rainn. So she's got quite a humorous voice, and just a very direct style, actually. I really did enjoy it. So but I liked this, you see. Now, for my qualification, what makes me the one to guide you through your Fool's Journey of Tarot? Well, not to alarm anyone, but I talk to dead people and come with a fair amount of psychic abilities. Yes, you read that right. It is also not because I signed up for some psychic masterclass either. My abilities kicked in when my dead sister paid me an unexpected visit and plan. Sorry for your loss. and politely asked, aggressively demanded that I assist her with some unfinished business. But when it comes to you, do you not fret, my dear fool, as learning to read tarot does not mean that you will start holding seances for departed souls, unless of course that's your thing. Yeah, it's a separate thing you need to learn. And in tarot, you will be having conversations with yourself or the person you're reading for. So that's that. Let's pop those to one side. Then this is also for beginners. You've got Navigating the Light with the Help. This is a little bit of a self-help piece, and tarot is moving down that that avenue as well a little bit now. So more people are using the tarot not as a divination, my words today, a divinatory tool. They're using it for self-exploration, and you can do it for both. But this is, so this is this book. An introduction into tarot. What is a tarot deck? She goes through that. And the origins. And you've got the parts of the deck. And she uses affirmations with each of them, you see. Minor arcana exercises throughout. How to care for the deck. Reading the map. Well, I think this might be the... Is she doing the Fool's Journey? Gaining fluency, finding meaning, relationship, what tarot is not. So she talks a lot about that, drawing the map, clarifiers, and then spreads. Single cards, card of the day, general questions. So she talks you through how to read the cards essentially, as opposed to what they like, where you've got these books where you've got like this, where each of them have their meanings. She's got a couple of examples of the High Priestess card, the associations, so the correspondences. A really good little book, and very popular. What have we got for the minors? It's the majors. So we go into the swords. Oh, I love that. So the Queen of Swords, your heart longs to be heard. Listen closely and let her speak. Yeah, this is a really good book for literally taking tarot almost to that next level as well. So you've got not just learning how to read the cards, but how to actually use them for yourself. So that's your tarot guide, Learn to Navigate Life with the Help of the Cards, by Melinda Lee Holm. Okay, so there's that one. Now this guy here, Anthony Louis, has written 2 books, and the plain one, I think he's written quite a few, but a plain one and an advanced one. I'll go through the advanced stuff with you in a minute. But this is, as you can see, a very popular book, over 150,000 sold. I really like it. Illustrations by Robin Wood, who is no longer with us, bless her. Her deck still sells really well. Right, so what have we got in here? So this is around the history as to how it all began. So you've got the Golden Dawn, which was basically the there was a group, a Freemasonry group basically called the Golden Dawn. It was a little bit more complicated than that, but that's essentially what it is. And Arthur Edward Waite was a member of the Golden Dawn, as was Pamela Colman Smith. So you've got basically just, he explains a little bit about this. Then you've got Jung, who uses the architects of the majors, some personal research, and then how to spread and interpret the cards. So choose your deck, the same sort of things. 5-card spread. Oh, that's nice. Past, present, hidden influences, advice, likely outcome. You've got horoscope spread. So there are various spreads he goes through. Putting it all together, you do the Celtic cross. So this is how to read the cards, and then you go into, so it's like almost like the context behind the tarot. And then we begin with the majors, with an upright meaning, keywords and phrases. I do everything by keywords. It's like learning the alphabet, really. And then you go through all the majors, Minors, we've got minors, yet minors. So, oh, he does the twos together. So as a lot of them do that, you do all the aces and all of the twos and all of the threes, right the way through the minors that way. It helps you understand that there's a correspondence between the number as well. So it's a really good way of learning. I don't teach that, I go through the suits on this channel. So you've got the court cards. So that's basically it. You've got the real depth of knowledge around tarot itself. What have you got there? Your year number, so your tarot numbers. Yeah, it's a really in-depth little book. Right, so learn the basic meanings and symbolism of the tarot. Let the cards speak their truth to you with easy-to-understand descriptions for each of the 78 cards. It provides methods for reading, whether you read for yourself or for others. So interpret them quickly and easily. That's through the keywords. The keywords are the help there. 6 popular spreads without all the confusing arcane references. Beginner is trying to uncover the tarot symbolism for the first time. Yeah, because he's got quite a lot of detail there in each of the cards for the symbolism as well. So really good book. Okay, so that's, I'm going to say that with every single one, obviously, because I've chosen them. Now this is the Little Book of Tarot by Liz Dean, and Liz Dean we've got a couple of books of hers in store. Now she is a prolific writer on tarot, very well regarded and respected for her knowledge. So this is a little book like this, the Little Book. The clue is in the title, I guess, isn't it? Sorry. Then you have in this book the contents. You've got how to relay the cards, tarot readings, 3 card readings, the heart and head spread, star spread. So lots of spreads here, all in section 1. Then interpreting the cards, where you've got each of the cards there. So you've got the introduction, the spreads, and then we go into, there's the spreads, the cards, you see. You've got the correspondences, the card combinations, upright meaning. So when you get the Fool, a fresh start, freedom from the constraints of the past, release from. It's a really, really handy little book, this one. A pocket-sized book that you could carry with you. And she does the same as well, where she goes through all of the 5s, 6s, goes through the actual numbers as opposed to the suits. Okay, so that's the Little Book of Tarot by Liz Dean. This is another Liz Dean. Understanding Tarot, discover the tarot and find out what the cards really mean. 10 specific spreads to follow, along with sample readings and an extensive interpretation for each card. Liz gives you the confidence to approach the cards holistically, freed from concentrating solely on the meaning of individual cards. You will begin to see them as a story or a journey of life that gives you a clear picture of the past, present and future. Right, so let's have a look. It's a hardback book. Introduction through the tarot. Tarot's trade. Knights and gypsies. Very interesting information. So we've got quite a bit of history there. Then the symbols, or symbolism rather. A little bit around that. The Kabbalah. The menagerie, so all of the beasties. Sorry, the rainbow. So you've got how to lay the cards. I keep making that horrible noise, sorry. Reading reversals. What does she say there? You can choose to use reversals or not. Many readers do not read reversals. If they arise in a spread, they simply turn them the right way up. That's me. It is helpful to know both of them. Okay, so you've got that. The 3 card spread, heart and head. So she went through lots of spreads, didn't she? Tree of Life. And then we go into the journey of the cards. So then you've got the cards. So you've got the Fool. Lots of information on the Fool card. Symbolism. I told you the problem with words today. Astrology, the upright and the reverse meanings, and combinations. Right the way through. And I imagine she put some all in suits in the minors all in together again. Yes, you've got the aces together, 2s, right the way through. So that is Understanding Tarot. It's a little bit more knowledge around it, really. Discover the Tarot by Liz Dean. So there's that one. Then this is very popular on Amazon. and it is like high up the charts all the time. Another Liz book. It's a big book, and in here you have introducing it again, the majors and minors, how to begin, choosing your deck, card layout. So she does the card layouts first, interpretations for the majors. So here you've got a lot of information about the Fool, and then his symbols. So you've got two full pages, two full spreads rather, on each of the cards. Okay, that's with all of the majors, and then the minors. So now in this one she goes through the suits, you see. So the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups, as opposed to all aces, all twos, all threes, all fours. This is how I teach. I like this because then you get into the whole energy. It feels like a journey through emotion. And then you've got the Pentacles. So right the way through. How to understand it. As opposed to keywords, she has key meanings. Okay, so that is The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean. So we have all of the beginner ones. Now these are a little bit more of a deep dive. Now this is a book that I have personally used. I really liked it because in each one of them, let me just take an example here. Right. It does this. So it says here, here's the Magician card, which we know and love. Here's the basic meaning, the spiritual experience, as a card for the day, as a prognosis or tendency, for love and relationships, and for success and happiness. So that's the card. And then what the author, Johannes, Fiebig and Evelyn Berger, what they do then is they give you the major symbols in the card, the colours and the relevant symbols, and that's really handy to know because then it gives more depth to the tarot really. So you've got that for each of them right the way through. Really fascinating it is. Just gives you that extra edge. And then what have we got at the end here? So top 10 spreads and tarot and astrology, so it helps you understand the link between the two. And that is, yeah, so that basically points out all the symbols so that you can see it. Then you have I've got over here, sorry, let me grab this in here. We've got Liz Dean again with the big book of tarot symbols, because some people really like to know the symbols. It's a hidden layer. So for example here, you can see she's pointed out all of the symbols again with the meanings down here, the key meanings, description, upright meaning, reverse meaning, and then all of the information around it. So the other names, right the way through Tree of Life, part. So this is a really popular book as well, obviously. What the symbols mean for you. And the Fool's red feather. The Magician. The Magician and the Aces. So there's lots of information on every single one, and it just gives it that extra layer of meaning. When you understand more than I teach, which is the keywords, you then get into the symbols on every single card. So that is what she got at the end here. I'll just make sure that I've got everything covered there. Yeah, all of the cards are in here. Right, and then you have reading techniques and further spreads. So journaling. Very comprehensive. So that's the next level, you know, again. And we've got, so that's the big book of tarot symbols by Liz Dean. Then we have two of my favorites. Now, Anthony Louis, who did the tarot for beginners, let me just take that back so you can see that. So we've got the tarot plain and simple that he did. And now we have more information which is beyond the basics. So you gain a deeper understanding of the meanings behind the cards. Let me just take you through this, sorry, slowly. This is also a very popular book. So here you've got that next level up. It's quite text heavy, as you can see. So if you just want the symbols, then I'd go for one of the other two. But if you want to get more into reading behind it, give some real life examples there. Then you've got the spread and some examples that takes you to that next level of reading the cards as opposed to just understanding the symbols. The next level up again. Then you've got the astrological connections. Oops. It's really in depth, this. So yeah, this is like the next level. As I say, we've got the basics where you learn the keywords and the cards. Then you jump up and you learn a bit more about the symbols on each of the cards and a bit of the background around tarot. And then this is much deeper. And if you love tarot and you really want to go that extra mile, then this is it. So the Topsy World of Tarot Reversals. Okay. Okay, you see what he says here. Even experienced tarot readers are puzzled by cards that appear upside. I just think they're untidy, so I turn them around because I'm tidy. Also, I don't ever have reversals because of the way I shuffle. So with an overhand shuffle, I don't ever have any upside down cards in the deck. We turn the cards upright as I did with Jane's reading in chapter 1. Robert Place, an advocate of this method, explains it's not necessary to confuse the reading with upside down images. In contrast, Mary Greer has written an entire book devoted exclusively to the many ways to interpret reverse cards. Etella is the first tarot reader that we know about historically. He was a French guy, and he was the first one to produce a deck of his own and also a book that went with it that gave it meanings. So the real tarot reader, and he introduced reversals. So Etella found that reverse cards were in common use by Parisian cartomancers in 1753. My own preference has been to allow the cards to fall as they may, and I've never found any hard and fast rule as how to interpret inverted cards. Given the confusion that reversals can engender, turning all the cards upright has great appeal. Nonetheless, many cards, even in their upright positions, contain inversed images. It's worthwhile then to probe the meanings of reversals in general. So that's really interesting. Now, Robert Place, I've got a book of his here that I'll show you. I want to say almost like they are the intellectuals behind tarot. Do you know, they really dig deep into the history of it and give us more academic research into it. It's a more academic study than it is for a lot of readers. So you've got this is just a really in-depth book for the next section of your journey. If you want to become like a bit of a tarot master. And some people do, they want to know the ins and outs of tarot. For me, it was never about just reading. It was about the next level, the next level, the next level. What else could I get? And I can tell you that after the huge number of years that I've been reading, and I was introduced to tarot very young, and you never know it all. You can't possibly. How can you ever know everything? So when people give you that, you know, they like the supreme mastery. Yes, we know as much as we know, but there's always more. I've never understood really the Kabbalah influences on it at all, but it's very relevant because that's how it, or the founding deck that's around now, the Rider-Waite, was pretty much linked with that. So it was integral. So here we've got here, as I say, that next level up. For many of you, this won't appeal, but for some of you it will. Just taking it to that, really diving into the cards. Okay, so deeper readings. By the time you've read that, goodness me. Oh, look, for every single card, I missed this at the back, you've got the whole thing here. So you've got the Five of Wands, and you've got all of the meanings behind it. And then you've got Crowley Golden Dawn meeting. So Aleister Crowley, the element of fire weighed down and embittered by Saturn, quarrelling and fighting. And then if you go up to Etella as well, gold, abundance. So you've got all of the different types of meanings for the same card through the different systems. Yeah, so Tarot Beyond the Basics by Anthony Louis. Now, you remember we talked about Robert Place. I've only got a couple more books here. So Robert Place, I really admire him. I was very intrigued by the Lenormand when it came out, and I found that he had an awful lot of information about the Lenormand. He really delved into the past. Like I said, an academic, really. It's text heavy again. Okay, so it's a very text heavy book. This is called History, Symbolism and Divination. And it gives you the cards. So you've got simple things here where you go through the cards. Gives you just some information. So, for example, the Eight of Swords, a woman is blindfolded and bound, standing in the marshy wasteland outside of a city. You can just see it in the background. And you may not have even noticed that before, and then suddenly he points it out. The swords are like negative thoughts, because it's swords that have cut the woman off from others and bound her in a fear, anger and depression. This card also means incarceration and isolation. Waite suggests that the temporary situation is temporary. So I really loved this book because I enjoyed the short summaries of each of the cards and pointed out things that I hadn't really observed. But there's a lot more to the book, as you can see. The cards only start there. Okay, so that's the last section of it, of the book. And then before that, you've got all of the academic study really before it. The histories, the different types of tarot. So what's his index? And I'll show you here the index at the very beginning. There, isn't it? There we go. So you've got the history of tarot, the mythical history of tarot, the search for meaning, interpreting the major and minors, which is where I explained to you, the Waite-Smith tarot, and hieroglyphs from the soul. So I loved this book because it was my first deep dive. Okay, and then when was that produced? Let's have a look. Yeah, 2005. Okay, so there's that one. Then this is from an organisation. Marcus Katz and Tali Goodwin. They run a huge group called the Tarot Professionals. I think it is a big Facebook group that I've been in for years, and he has a lot of information. I loved this book, but I think you can only buy it from. You might be able to buy it from Amazon. Actually, I'm not sure. He and Tali, Marcus and Tali, have really gone into the characters behind tarot. So they know a tremendous amount about Waite, Pamela, particularly Pamela. They've gone into a lot of study around her, and also a lot into the history of tarot. So again, from an academic approach. So you've got a bit of information about how to read the cards. In this book, we reveal many of the sources that inspired the art of the Waite-Smith tarot deck. And all the subs, because if you understand the art and you see why he briefed Pamela to do the images that he did, then actually you understand a lot more about the cards. Revealing the secret of the structure of tarot through correspondence to the Kabbalah. This is a complex subject we'll cover in more detail in a later chat. However, it can be simplified into just 14 words to get us reading the tarot in about 10 minutes. So that's, okay, so you've got that. Then we've got Pamela Colman-Smith. She was called Pixie. A little bit more about her. She was an amazing artist. And then there she is there. And then you have Arthur Edward Waite. So around his history. So he was fascinated by the unseen. Then you've got the Waite-Smith Tarot deck. So how the deck was started. A lot more history around it. This is the world that we live in. So when you look at all of the cards, you'll see that there's pictures of, it's called the Hill of Heart's Desire. It's the landscape in the poem that set the inner nature of what 6 years later become the tarot. Even a cursory glance will show how many similarities to the landscape of the deck. We see the loving couple in the foreground, later to appear in Two of Cups. So you have a lot of information around that. And then we go into each of the cards, key symbols, really diving into some background information on each of the cards. Symbology is a big, so in a reading, what's that? You must look deeper. So it's really very, very in-depth. I could read this book over and over and over again. And then you've got at the back here, the Tree of Life. There we go. So those are all of the books that I have in my possession. That's my book. These are my books, so these are ones that I own. This is a advanced readers. This is a beginners. So remember, you have the basics like this, plain and simple. Then once you read the cards and you know how to read them and the keywords, you move into symbols. You might want to know a bit more about the symbols that are involved in each of the cards. Same again here. There we are. And this one here is a book about using them for your self-empowerment, which I really advocate that. And then you've got my original book. I know it's gone on for a little while, so it's half an hour. I hope that I'm going to actually timestamp so you'll be able to see each book very, very quickly. My car's getting pushed around. And I hope that you found that helpful. If you feel that there is a book that you've really enjoyed that I haven't covered, then please do mention it in the comments, because remember, people are reading this, they're watching it, and they're looking for books that may be useful to them. So, okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye. Hi, it's Maria. Now this is an add-on because no sooner had I completed the video and I knew something was missing, and it was, I could not put this up without actually showing 78 Degrees of Wisdom, because it definitely belongs in one of my best recommended. I've really enjoyed this book about tarot, and it's Rachel Pollack, who is no longer with us, unfortunately, or sadly, and she's a huge, you can see that I've bent the spine quite a bit. So I've really enjoyed this book, and I thought I really wanted to share it with you. Now, if I read the back, it looks text heavy, but it actually takes you on a journey through the tarot and then dives into each of the cards. It just gives you some more concepts and context, and it's just, and then she goes into readings. Look, so it's really, let me just read the back to you and you can decide whether or not it's for you. But I really enjoyed it. Together in one volume for the first time, the classic texts that helped launch the modern tarot renaissance. So the 2 volumes of 78 Degrees of Wisdom have inspired a whole generation of students of the tarot. Described by many as the Bible of tarot readers, the books brought to awareness of myth and modern psychology to the tarot's ancient esoteric symbolism, because she talks very much about the archetypes and displays and demonstrates that. Now, for the first time, the texts for the major arcana and the minor arcana appear in one volume. To mark this special occasion, Rachel Pollack has revised and updated the book in light of her 30 years teaching, reading and writing about tarot cards. She's also written a new preface describing her own journey through the tarot's world of symbols. And Caitlin, who did the Arthurian Tarot, which is actually my first ever deck, one of the most authoritative words on the tarot ever written, a book which encourages the diviner to perceive the deep message of the tarot. And then we have Mary Greer, who's another fountain of all knowledge for tarot. So you can have a look at Mary, because she does a website that is really, really good, and I very often point people in her direction. Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom is on my top 10 list of all-time tarot greats. This classic book will never outgrow its usefulness. It's just so enlightening. I don't know how to really give it any. So, for example here, if you don't want to read any of the archetypes or any of the deeper stuff around, you could even just reading the actual card by card. So here for the 10, for example, this means that somebody's, you know, they're carrying a burden. So you see she's put here, because they're so involved in movement and action, the wands invite problems. Constantly in conflict, they almost attract enemies and difficulty. This comes partly from the lack of purpose and plan, but also from one's secret enjoyment of any contest. The 10 shows us on the surface an image of a person burdened and oppressed by life, and especially by responsibility. His wand's eagerness has involved him in so many situations that now, paradoxically, that very energy is weighed down with commitments and problems. He wants to be free to travel, to seek adventure and new involvement, but instead he finds himself like the suburban career man, caught in a net of endless responsibilities, financial, family, work that he himself has created. He did not plan this. It has grown up around him. We see here that the Great One's problem, the fire energy, acts without thinking, takes on new problems simply for the challenge. But these situations and responsibilities do not go away when the person becomes bored and wants to go on to something new. They remain and can swamp the fire that seemed to conquer them. In emotional situations, the card shows us the person who takes on himself or herself all of the weight of a relationship. Whatever problems arrive, conflicts and dissatisfaction, he or she tries to smooth them over. With bent back, he or she struggles to keep the relationship going, while the other person may not even recognise what is happening. In both the practical and the emotional, and the dogs walked in again. In both the practical and the emotional situation, the person has taken the burdens on for her or himself. He or she has made the situation and needs to realise that other approaches are still possible. In such situations, the burdens may not be wholly real, or at least may be avoided. They may in fact serve as an excuse to avoid doing anything really constructive, such as breaking away from a bad situation. And the same with reversed. So you can see that you then, when you really study it and you listen to Rachel's wisdom on this card, she brings it to life. It's just a really, really, really good book. And I highly recommend it. It was worth, for me, it was quite a bit of a read. And I have the attention span of a gnat, but as I say, so I was not going to let this go without upload this video without saying I needed to add this. This is my top 14 books now, so this is number 14, although it would be highly okay. I hope that you found that useful, and apologies for the add-on. That will teach me not to make sure I'm fully prepared before I go live and or before I start recording. And thanks very much for your time. Bye bye.